This video is not legal advice. It is for educational purposes only. It does not create an attorney-client relationship. Always consult a qualified attorney for advice specific to your situation.
This video provides a very general and brief explanation of the forms and formatting requirements established by the California Judicial Council for preparing legal documents to be filed in California Superior Courts. The Judicial Council adopts or approves, for use in civil litigation, various standardized legal documents, specifically pre-drafted template forms complete with clear instructions and checkboxes. The use of these standardized Judicial Council forms is governed by Rules 1.30 through 1.51 and 2.130 through 2.150 of the California Rules of Court. These forms are available online at the official California Court's website as fillable PDF files. Each is identified by a unique alphanumeric code indicating its category and specific purpose, such as initiating a lawsuit, serving process, requesting court orders, or addressing post-judgment matters. For example, PLDC 001 is the General Civil Complaint Form. SUM 100 is the summons, and CIV 110 is the request for dismissal. The code, along with whether the form is adopted or approved, appears in the lower left corner of the first page. Forms adopted by the Judicial Council are mandatory. Those merely approved are optional. Even when optional, approved forms are strongly recommended because they promote procedural compliance, minimize drafting errors, and expedite court processing. Use of the most current version of any form is generally required, Rule 1.37, and filing a form constitutes certification that it is a true copy of the Judicial Council version, Rule 2.132. Rule 2.134 permits filing of single-sided forms even if the original is two-sided. But when two-sided forms are filed, the pages must be tumbled so that the reverse sides print head to foot. Multiple page forms must also be bound. Pursuant to Rule 2.135, Judicial Council forms may not be rejected merely because they are completed by hand or in a hand-printed color other than black or blue-black. Rule 1.42 further prohibits rejection for the mere absence of preprinted titles or court addresses, or for use of a prior version of an adopted or approved form. Beyond forms, the Judicial Council regulates the format of litigant-prepared legal documents, or papers, as defined in Rule 2.3, primarily through the California Code of Civil Procedure and, in greater detail, the California Rules of Court. As a preliminary matter, papers that are typewritten within the meaning of the Rules of Court include those produced by word processing. Not all typewritten papers, however, are to be filed with the court. Those that are not to be filed are identified in Rule 3.250 and include subpoenas and other discovery materials not relevant to any law and motion proceeding. Under the Code of Civil Procedure, every pleading, and, in practice, nearly every legal document filed by a litigant, must include a caption listing the name of the court, the county of filing, and, for limited jurisdiction cases, the nature of the action. The title of the action must name all parties, except as otherwise permitted by statute or rule for fictitious names such as John Doe or Jane Roe, or for abbreviations. Failure to designate the parties is generally only an amendable formal defect. Of the California Rules of Court, Rules 2.100 through 2.119, together with Rules 3.1110 through 3.1116, prescribe for all papers their size, type style, line spacing, line numbering, page numbering, hole punching, and the required contents of first pages and first paragraphs of law and motion filings. The specifics are as follows. Pursuant to Rule 2.100, no trial court may enact or enforce any local rule concerning the form or format of papers. All such local rules concerning papers are preempted by the California Rules of Court. If papers are not filed electronically, Rule 2.102 requires that only one side of each printed page be used. Rule 2.103 mandates opaque, unglazed paper of standard quality, not less than 20-pound weight, white or unbleached, and sized 8.5 by 11 inches. Rule 2.104 requires type no smaller than 12 point, and electronically filed documents must be capable of producing clear, permanent, legible copies. Rule 2.105 requires a typeface equivalent to Courier, Times New Roman, or Arial, and Rule 2.106 requires black or blue-black print. Rule 2.107 sets margins at a minimum of 1 inch on the left and 1/2 inch on the right. Rule 2.108 requires lines to be 1 and 1/2 or double-spaced and numbered consecutively, with footnotes and quotations potentially single-spaced if they meet Rule 2.111's overall requirements. Line numbers appear at the left margin. Rule 2.109 requires consecutive Arabic page numbering at the bottom of each page, unless otherwise specified. Rule 2.110 requires a footer in the bottom margin below the page number, separated by a printed line, containing the title of the paper. Rule 2.111 details the numerous caption and title requirements for the first page of any legal document. The rule itself and accompanying video images should be consulted for full guidance. Rule 2.112 addresses stating causes of action, counts, or defenses, a topic for a later video. Rule 2.113 requires that hard copy documents consist of original papers only, with no separate writers, and that all pages be firmly bound at the top. Rule 2.114 governs exhibits, fastened to compliant pages and of equal legibility when machine copied. Rule 2.115 mandates at the top of each paper 2 pre-punched holes, centered 2.5 inches apart and 5/8 of an inch from the top of the paper. Rule 2.116 requires that any additions, deletions, or interlineations be initialed by the clerk or judge upon filing. Rule 2.117 requires that served copies conform to the filed originals. Rule 2.118 directs the clerk to reject non-compliant papers, but prohibits rejection solely for handwriting or hand printing, in non-black or blue-black ink, or for omitting an attorney or party fax number or email on the first page. The court may, nevertheless, permit filing of non-compliant papers for good cause shown. Importantly, most of these formatting rules do not apply to Judicial Council forms, as noted by Rule 2.119. Finally, Rule 3.1110 sets additional requirements for law and motion papers, including the notice of motion, which must state in its opening paragraph the nature of the order sought and the grounds, and specific information to appear immediately below the case number on the first page, the hearing date, time, and location, if known, the hearing judge, if known, the title of any attached non-exhibit document, the filing date of the action, and the trial date, if set. Exhibits in a foreign language must be accompanied by a certified English translation. Most of these formatting rules do not specify the precise consequences for non-compliance, and case law on point is sparse. As a practical matter, many violations are disregarded by judicial officers when they do not affect the substantial rights of the parties. Courts nonetheless retain discretion to order matters off calendar or to strike papers that violate procedural rules. The good news is that Microsoft Word and similar word processors make format compliance straightforward through customizable templates designed specifically for drafting pleadings that comply with the California rules of court. These templates pre-apply all required formatting, such as 12-point font, for example, Times New Roman, Courier, or Arial equivalents, 1.5 or double line spacing, 28-line pleading paper numbering, proper margins, header and footer styles for captions, and section breaks for attorney information, ensuring legal documents meet the standards set forth in the California Rules of Court. Users simply select the appropriate template, populate it with case-specific details, and generate professional, rule-compliant filings with minimal manual adjustments. Moreover, once drafted, these documents can be saved as reusable computer files, easily adapted for future matters while maintaining full compliance.
Final reminder. The contents of this video are for educational and informational purposes only. They do not constitute legal advice and are not a substitute for personalized guidance from a licensed attorney, familiar with your specific facts and circumstances. No attorney-client relationship is formed by watching, liking, commenting, subscribing, or communicating through this channel. Laws change over time and vary by jurisdiction. Do not act or refrain from acting based on anything in this video. Seek advice from a qualified professional in your jurisdiction. The creator disclaims any liability for loss or damage claimed to result from reliance on this material.